Welcome to the Witches Healing Podcast. This space was created to get us all back to why we started our journey in the first place. In this sacred space, we understand that the only way out is within. I'm your host, Christina, also known as Moonstone Energy, and I'll be giving life advice, affirmations for success, collective messages, and more. I'm happy you're here. Let's get into this episode. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Christina of the Witches Healing Podcast, also known as Moonstone Energy. If you aren't doing so already, make sure that you are following me on all my social platforms. I will link everything in the listen notes as well as any other important information that I have not spoken yet into the future. But today we are talking about what to do when the world is losing its ever-loving mind. Okay. So this came to me. I was just thinking to myself one day, like, wow. I was watching, I think I was watching a video. I think it was on TikTok. I can't remember. But basically, they were talking about how everything is impacting, like everything that's going on in this world is impacting everyone's day-to-day life, which is true. So yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So first things first, and I've always talked about this, it's nothing new, but it's a part of the conversation that needs to be had. So as you know, and this is just not something that has occurred in the United States, this is essentially worldwide. When the pandemic hit, it was basically one big tower moment for everyone, not just just a situation where people were wondering how they're going to feed their children, how they're going to provide for themselves now that they don't, so essentially people were losing their jobs because of the pandemic, because they had to, lay off different people because they couldn't open or couldn't, they had different provisions during that time. So now that we are um post pandemic, right? During the pandemic, everyone was basically getting cashed out, meaning they were getting stimulus checks, they were getting earned income tax credits, all type of things with the taxes and everything. Everybody was banking during the pandemic. But essentially, we were all banking and sealing our own fate. And some of us, if not all of us, knew what that whole situation was going to bring about. So now that we're post pandemic, everything's basically back to normal. If you want to wear your mask out, you can. If you want to, it's optional at this point, right? Businesses are back open, flowing. I remember when everything started to get back to normal, people were essentially being begged to come back to work because I don't know about you, but during that time, I worked from home. Okay. I was like, you couldn't pay me to go back into the office. For what? I'm just sitting there holding up space. Everything that I'm doing there, I could do at home. I have no reason or purpose of being in that building. Y'all wasting gas money. Y'all wasting light money. Y'all wasting a lot of money at this point. But during that time, companies were begging people like, hey, you come work for me, $1,000 sign-on bonus, $2,000 sign-on bonus, and you have the option of working remote. And it's a hybrid. So you'll come into the office probably 2-3 days out the week, and the rest, you could be at home. Now, people are looking for work. They say that there is work out here. There is literally no work. People have been applying themselves, applying to thousands of different jobs, right? And they're not hiring. What's going on? What is it? What's really going on? Where was all this sign on? Where's the sign on bonus money at? Where's all this going? Okay, let's talk about that. And then let's also talk about the fact that gas prices went up, groceries went up. People are fighting for eggs and chicken wings. Okay? Eggs and chicken wings, the whole bird is expensive. If you want a bird, you might as well call Pablo Noriega, whoever overseas, to come smuggle you some bird into the United States at this point, because it is ridiculous. And it's very sad. I'm laughing, but at the same time, it is a very sad situation because not only did we come from a place where we had loved ones that were leaving us because of a virus that you can't see, you can't smell. Now we have to deal with the after effects of it, plus mental health issues, right? So now you're in a place where you are looking for work, groceries are high as heck, gas is high as heck. The gas that you will use to get to the job that you can't get is high. Like, it's hard, right? So, what do you do? How do you resolve such a situation? Because I guarantee you, I've been looking into it. You want to leave and move outside of the United States? I think of the United States as the bitter ex that does not want to, leave you alone. Like, you're trying to break up with them and they say, "Oh, you want to leave me? You trying to leave me? Okay, well, guess what? We going to court. You want to break up with me? That's going to be damn near $2,300 just to break up with me if you want to leave. And then if you decide to leave and still live here, you're going to pay taxes here and you're going to pay taxes wherever you leave. So you're never going to get rid of me. You're never going to get rid of me." You can't win. You can't win for losing here. I'm going to dive back into this episode in one moment, but I had to interrupt and let you know that you are not alone. You are loved, and most importantly, you are supported. If at any moment you feel that you need guidance or mentoring, you have resources available to you, love. Please visit moonstoneenergy.com and book a one-on-one spiritual coaching session or an intuitive reading, and let's get you back into your power. So, my question, and I want, like, if it's something that you think could be done in this particular situation, definitely let me know. I'm going to attach a question. Like, what do you think is the cause of all of this upheaval when it comes to finances and essentially living expenses in general at this current time? I'm going to leave that and I'm going to attach a question to that if you are listening on Spotify, because if you listen on Apple Music, they don't have those types of polls, unfortunately. So if you're on Spotify, you're listening to me there, let me know what you think about this entire situation. But at this point, a lot of people, with the added stress of having to figure out these sorts of things, having to worry about how you're going to take care of yourself, how you're going to take care of your children, how you're going to take care of your household, it leads to depression, it leads to stress, it leads to anxiety. And if you are, though, one of those people that have issues with coping, that haven't found the proper tools to deal with such things, you're going to essentially go in the wrong direction and potentially end up using and abusing some sort of substance. It could be alcohol, it could be food, it could be drugs, it could be anything, right? So it just depends on where you are on the end of that spectrum. But I think it's really something that needs to be said, that even with, and I think I said this in another episode, probably on my other show, which is the Moonstone Energy Podcast. But basically, if you have access to any form of counseling, any form of like a spiritual coach in your area or anything like that, I highly recommend that you utilize those resources, because the issues that we are dealing with right now, as strong of a person you may feel that you are, it can impact you directly or indirectly, meaning it could hit you hard or it could hit your mother hard. It could hit your daughter hard. It could hit your husband, your wife, your children hard, your cousin, your auntie, your uncle. It could happen to anyone that is close to you. So, how do you deal with that? I highly recommend that you utilize any counseling resources that you have available. Um, I know that, and this is something that a lot of people, like, I think as collectively, we all got to a point where we understood that everyone's mental health during the pandemic, right? It was terrible. It was straight up terrible. They had suicide lines open. They were advertising it heavily, all kinds of things. People were literally leaving here, unaliving themselves. So, um it's very important during times like this when everything is skyrocketing to ground yourself and make sure that you are taking care of yourself, doing whatever rituals that you need to do in order to keep yourself present and in the moment. And not just to say that, because I know a lot of us can get caught up in the dysfunction that may be going on right there in the moment. And me as well. Like, life happens to all of us, no matter how high up someone may seem to you. Oh, they have this amount of money, they have this status. None of that matters. None of it matters. Because at the end of the day, honest to God, when it's time for you to go, when it's time for you to check out, we all go back to what we came from, right? Not literally, like we came from our mothers, but we are all flesh and bones. Like, none of that matters, not one bit. So, regardless of what your status is, top 1%, you got billions of dollars, the lowest of the low, poor, bourgeoisie versus proletariats, none of that stuff matters. At the end of the day, life happens to everyone. It may happen differently for some, but it takes that one situation that can put you over the edge and cause you to spiral. So make sure that you are taking the proper steps to take care of your health. Health is wealth, right? Get your checkups. Make sure you're going to the doctor when you need to. Take care of your spirit, right? Meditation, altar work, and make sure you're going to see a counselor if you need to. There's only so much you can do with spirituality, because spiritual and physical, yes, it does coincide and collide with each other. But you also have to understand that regardless of the spiritual work that you do, you have to make sure that you're doing what you need to do in the physical in order for the spiritual to do what it do, if you get what I mean. So it's very important that you do that. So there's so many different resources out there that you can utilize. And also, I wanted to mention that I do offer spiritual coaching sessions if you do need someone to talk to and speak to. Um, Very affordable. I do have payment options available. It's on my website at moonstoneenergy.com. Um, we can sit down for an hour, talk about whatever it is that you need to talk about, whether it be spirituality, um, s- anything that's going on with you at the moment. And I will help walk you through those situations to get you to another place to help you heal and give you the keys and the tools that you need to get to that point. So I just want to put that out there. And I also want to talk about how the we are literally living in a world where, okay, it's great to be an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur, right? But we are in a world where, and I'm seeing this for myself, it's like a rat race. It's like we're trying to basically buy back our freedom, but at the same time, we're losing our freedom, if you get what I'm saying. We're doing so much of the things, we're doing all these things to free ourselves from working to build someone else's dreams, right? Like, we'll have our own side hustle or whatever, but we're also working a 9 to 5 to build something for our children, family, legacy. But of course, we all know that you can't pass down a job that you apply for. Like once you're gone, they're going to replace you with whoever comes and applies after you pass. I literally saw it for myself when I worked in corporate America. It doesn't matter. They're going to replace you regardless. But we are living in a space where we are constantly trying to free ourselves and get back our time, but we are also losing time at the same time. It's like a catch 22. It's like you're not going to free yourself from the monotony of capitalism unless you participate in the capitalistic rituals that go on. Like it's crazy. It's flipping crazy. It is crazy. That's why it's so important to have a strategy, and that's why it's important why a lot of people are nowadays hiring coaches not just for spiritual purposes, but they're also doing it for business, like business coaches, you know. And I mean, the whole work harder, not smarter thing is really etched into the bones of millennials, okay? Like, I promise to God, I could not imagine myself, like, literally, I could not imagine myself because, my parents were boomers. So they were get a job, work hard, 401k, pass it on to your children go to college, children graduate college. Like it was very structured and very much within a line. Like if there's no swerving out of the lines. You have to stay within the lines. Millennial came around, 90s, all this changed, flipped it over. Not even the same no more. I couldn't I couldn't imagine doing any of those things. Like I think I would probably lose my damn mind if I still had that same mindset. So I'm glad that us as, a collective have evolved and decided to go in a different route when it comes to stuff like that. But honey, this world we're living in is crazy. It's like you can't get ahead for anything and it's hard. Yes, you don't want to have a poor mentality, obviously. Meaning you don't want to think like you want to take responsibility for your own reality because of course this podcast and my other podcast is about holding yourself accountable. Um, but you can't move forward if it's like you have to deal with the cards that you're dealt, basically, is what I'm saying. Right. And I hope you understand this and I hope I'm conveying this message in the most proper way possible. Like, because it is a touchy subject. Um, but you don't want to let whoever or whatever, and this I'm doing air quotes, your oppressor is, you don't want the oppressor to continue to oppress you. So you want to make sure you find ways that are strategic and ways that are going to elevate you and put you in a different position than you were. And you want to essentially get out of that whole function, that dysfunction that you feel is keeping you stagnant, right? But yeah, this whole thing is like there's a break somewhere. Trust me, there's a break somewhere. It's coming. It's not going to be what a lot of people think it is. And I saw, and I don't even, you know what, I'm not even going to talk about it because it's like, I don't know how true it is. I mean, there's a lot of predictions for a lot of different things, but um, yeah, you just want to make sure you have all your ducks in a row and you want to make sure that you are well, like well, mind, body, spirit well, in order for you to fight the battles that's basically here and those to come. So make sure, and this is for you in your homework, make sure that you have some type of system in place in your day to day, whether it be counseling sessions, journaling sessions, altar work, spiritual baths, whatever it is that's going to keep you in a space where you can constantly think of different ways and new ways to get yourself ahead. Because the way this world is set up, it will tear you down. It doesn't matter what color you are. It will tear you down. So you want to make sure that you are 10 toes down, if you get what I mean. So, on that note, I hope that everyone is well. I hope that um, you find peace in whatever avenue you decide to go down. And I hope that it elevates you to another plane of existence that you damn near untouchable. Okay. But yes, make sure that you follow me on all social platforms. All information and resources will be in the listen notes of this podcast. And make sure you do that poll because I really need to know what's going on. If you are listening to this on Spotify, let me know what you think. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye. The next time you hear from me, let's say the next episode, you'll be one step closer to your highest self, one step closer to stepping into your divine energy and in complete flow. And so it is. Ache.